Good evening. I'd like to call the Olivette City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, January 30th. We are at Olivette City Center at 1140 Dealman Road in Olivette. It is 7:02. Roll call, please.
Mayor Weil,
Present.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Present.
Councilmember Clark,
Present.
Councilmember Carl,
Here.
Councilmember Knox.
Here.
Next item, please.
Item 2, communications. We have no written communications.
Next item.
Item 3, city manager's report.
Good evening, everybody. Get my PowerPoint up here. All right. So it should be a pretty straightforward report. We have a couple people that are an individual who's leaving us, Whitney Smith in the Parks and Recreation Department. She was our recreational coordinator with the sports focus. She left us towards the beginning of the month. Julian, who was the part-time sports focus person, he has been temporarily promoted, and they are doing an internal promotional process, and that process has been opened up to all employees. So they're in the middle of that promotional process. And then just today, we have a new firefighter paramedic, Brendan Martin. He's down there being sworn in by our own Deputy City Clerk, Jennifer Conrad. And we are scheduling, working with his schedule to find a future council date for him to come and meet everybody. So he'll be with us in the future.
Great.
Straight out of the academy. So. And then just sort of news around town, upcoming things. So Thursday is your last opportunity to have any comments about the Olivette Comprehensive Plan update that the city has been working on, and Carlos and his team have been working on for nearly the last year. So the meeting is February 1st at 7 p.m. and I hope and am pretty confident that the Planning and Community Development Commission will in fact adopt and approve this plan update. And then I know we have talked about that it would come to the council after that at your February 13th meeting. It will come to the council, but this document is a document of the PCDC. So council doesn't really have to do anything. You don't need to do a resolution or any type of vote, but I think staff will craft something for the mayor to acknowledge that the PCDC did in fact adopt it. Thank the relevant folks that spent all of their time working on this long document. And if you've not had a chance to read it, please do. It's several hundred pages long. It's a good document. So next is Coffee with Mayor, is on Valentine's Day at 5 Oaks. And this is a repeat of last week. Joelle will be there with Republic Services. She's talking about recycling. And then this is sort of the every time reminder that if you want to stay informed with what's going on in Olivette, please sign up for This Week in Olivette. You can go to the website and easily sign up for that. And that's all I have for this part, and unless you have other things.
Are there any questions?
Miss Yackley, I noticed on a notice that was sent out to the community that they had the 13th down as the Coffee with the Mayor.
It was fixed. I noticed it too and reached out to the communication director.
Okay, very good.
It was a test to see if you read the notices.
If it was free coffee and donuts, I was going to read.
And they're gonna have pink and red icing and white icing because of Valentine's Day. Okay,
Right.
heart-shaped donuts. Next item, please.
Item 4, city council reports.
I'll start with my right, or Councilmember Knox.
I thought we went to the bingo, it's rock and roll bingo with the Chamber of Commerce. And I thought that it was very well attended, and I appreciate being invited. As long as I could bring my phone.
It was a fun night and it was nice for it to be held at the Five Oaks.
And that's all I have. Nothing else to report.
Chairman Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, it was an awesome time at the Five Oaks for Rock and Roll Bingo with the Creve Coeur Olivette Chamber. It was a wonderful evening to spend with you all. I'm so grateful for your telephone because it's like I know that I have that song on my phone, but you just don't remember anymore who the artist is. And Jennifer was just rather amazing at knowing everything, and I just couldn't get my guy Maroon 5. So the evening before that, on Thursday evening, I attended the Municipal League of Metro St. Louis's membership meeting. It was held at the St. John City Hall, and the speaker at that meeting was Jeff Kaiser, who is with Missouri American Water. He kind of spoke with regards to the happenings with the Missouri American Water. I just want to share a little bit here. Since Martin Luther King Day and that big freeze, they were out there and they fixed 250 main breaks. They watched the Mississippi River, and they look for the temperatures because our water comes from Missouri and Merrimack River. And when it gets under 40 degrees, the water, they begin watching their pipes because that's when water pipes begin to burst. We have 4,500 miles worth of piping. We have 350,000 St. Louis County water customers, and we have 32,000 hydrants within our county. Just a couple things I thought was kind of interesting. But with regards to the meeting itself, we also discussed the resolution opposing the elimination of sales tax on foods. That includes places such as gas stations and pharmacy and drugstores that also carry food. And we're going to be looking and addressing at that tonight as well. So that is really what we did at the Municipal League meeting. The next Municipal League meeting in February will be here. So I hope to see you all here as well. That is all I have to report. Thank you so much.
That's what we're trying, okay. I attended the Economic Development Commission meeting last night, which was held from the one that was postponed from last Monday. The major topics of discussion were a brief review of the new strategic plan, and then a discussion around ideas for having a best business and a best restaurant in the city. And to do that in conjunction with Creve Coeur's Chamber of Commerce. So several ideas were presented, but nothing was finalized.
Love that idea. Thank you. Councilmember Clark?
I also attended the rock and roll bingo and I had a ball. Even the supervisor, she really loved it. And she's hoping that we'll do something like that again. The highlight of her night was actually watching Pro Tem get her dance on. So that was the highlight of the whole night. So, but yes, it was really great to go. And it was really nice just spending the evening with you guys.
And I must say that I missed the opportunity to do my dance with you at the 90th. So I'm more than glad to do it at another one of these functions.
Make it happen.
So, and it was nice. So for those of you listening in, the Creve Coeur Olivette Chamber of Commerce hosted a fundraiser. It was rock and roll bingo, and the entire council was there. and three of the Olivet staff joined our table. And it's like a trivia night, but it was bingo with rock and roll, where you bring a lot of food, you eat, and you just have a good time. So it was really fun to be together, and hopefully we'll do it again. So next item, please.
Item 5, staff reports.
Okay, staff reports. So the fire department has been doing some training. They did some fire ground survival training. So this helps to simulate when they are in a structure fire and they really can't see because of the smoke and the limited visibility conditions. And so they set up obstacles for the firefighters to go through with all of their gear. So you can see in the photos, you know, in the top left, they're having to get through some, you know, wires, right, with their air canisters, and down at the bottom right, you know, same kind of thing, wires and trying to crawl through all of that. So they have been working on that. Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec had a number of kids things at the beginning of the month. This month they had Kids Day in, they had Kids Day out, they had a circus camp. All three of those events were very well attended, and there have been requests from parents to do circus camp in the summer. And so the department is looking at seeing if they can make that happen. Those of you who read St. Louis Magazine or are in tune with some mom influencers in our area may have seen that our own Sassafras Indoor Playground has been mentioned a number of times. And staff have really seen an uptick in the number of folks coming out to bring their kids to the playground. And some of the, you know, you're welcome to come anytime to bring your child to the playground, but there are also story times and some directed activities in the playground. And so parents are bringing their young ones to come and enjoy those activities. And then one of the sort of under excited or, you know, unsung heroes is the actual parks division. And with the whole construction of Five Oaks and, you know, the recreation department being, you know, kind of in temporary quarters, a lot of the recreation things got stored in the parks maintenance building. And so now that recreation is living in Five Oaks, the Parks Division has been able to reclaim their space and organize their tools so they can find their stuff, which means that they can, you know, be a little more efficient. Yes, they got their workshop together. And so while that's not particularly glamorous, I'm sure they are excited to have their space as theirs once again.
Can I just make a comment here? Those cushions that the kids are sitting on, they're so cute.
They're cute. For planning, we have received the Irvington Place Apartments. This is the apartment building that is off of Alice, so right next to Public Works, also referred to as the Balboa Project. So they have gotten their financing secured through HUD, and they have submitted their building plans for review by staff. So you are looking at me like you have a question.
They got their secure funding through HUD? Are
They
they
got a
gonna,
portion of their funding. through
so
HUD.
they're gonna offer,
I
okay.
don't think so. I think they're doing.
okay,
it's
okay.
something- Yeah. So, we will look for ground to start breaking probably in the spring, once we get through everything. It's
The
called,
address will be North Price, not Alice.
I don't know what the address is gonna, is it? Yes. 1150. So this is, so here's Price right here,
Okay.
and this is the driveway. This is the driveway. So they're coming in off of Price.
Yes.
And there's no exit off to Alice.
From Balboa, from their property.
From their property.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Is that an
They always
exit?
want it off.
Okay, let me rephrase. There's one right here.
That's
Whoops.
Alice.
Right, this is Alice,
That's it.
and there's one entrance here, and this is Price, but this is the main entrance into the
So,
development.
is CVS in this corner, just, I don't know.
CBS is gonna be down,
Oh, okay,
down
totally,
here.
okay, very good,
this is gonna be Public Works,
okay,
CBS is down here.
okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
And is just the rendering of the size of the building? It's gonna be 5 stories.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then the police department, they did some defensive tactics training. They were in the community rooms up here. And they did this defensive tactics training that's based off of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So you'll see these are members of Platoon A. This, I believe, is Lieutenant Wood, who is working with Sergeant Reynolds, Renile. In this particular, what is it?
Robbins,
Robbins.
Renal Robbins.
Got the first name right. And then if you remember, they did a donation drive for Cops for Pets that help the APA in Olivette. And so they had their best year yet, $600 worth of goods. And so they dropped those off to APA. And here are a number of our police officers with one of the recipients of those goods. And then lastly, we have Public Works. So Public Works has been filling potholes around the city. I just would like to say a gentle reminder that we are very well aware of all of the potholes on Olive, particularly on the west side of Olive. But please remember, Olive is maintained by MoDOT. And we have seen MoDOT crews out filling potholes, so they are also aware and they are getting to them as the weather, the weather allows. Warson, north of Olive is St. Louis County, and south of Olive is Creve Coeur. So I'm sure those crews are also out filling potholes as well. And like I said, Bruce has had his guys out and about filling potholes as the weather allows. So just a general reminder, we know about Olive. MoDOT knows about Olive as well. Yeah, it's, so please drive slow. Town Olive. And then these are pictures of Indian Meadows Park. We have talked about this before, Great Rivers Greenway and the Centennial Greenway is coming through Indian Meadows. And one of the very first things that they need to do is take some trees out before the bats come back. So you will see a bunch of orange snow fencing. That snow fencing is designed to protect the trees that we are keeping and to prevent construction equipment from getting in those areas and damaging those roots and those trees. So you will see some trees start coming down. If folks call, they are either trees that are dead or majority of them are trees that are within the project area and they need to come down. So the folks nearest the project have been notified and are aware of what's going on. And then we have some upcoming meetings. The first one of note is the pension board. We have been getting emails right up until this particular meeting this evening, and it looks like we may not have a quorum for the pension board on Thursday the 1st. So that's probably going to be rescheduled. And again, that came in late this afternoon, so I don't have a date yet for that. But once we do, we will certainly make that available to, to the public. And then we just have the other typical meetings coming up. Any questions?
Yeah, I just have one comment. I appreciate you sending out today or forwarding the email from Chief Andreski
Oh, yeah.
about the
The radar
speed sign.
signs, yeah.
They're terrific. I drove through them a couple times to see how fast I could go. Um,
I just checked them out.
but well, I was going slow. But they're great, and I think they'll be very helpful for the
Yeah.
community.
Good.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I would like to comment, with regard to the same department, reading the reports from each department that came in our packet.
Mhm.
The numbers for all levels of crime had good, serious, a downswing,
Mhm.
from last year to this year. So kudos to whatever we are doing that is working and is still being mindful of people's rights and privileges. So, I wanted to give kudos to our city
Yeah.
for that.
And just one more note with the police department, we have two candidates that have accepted conditional offers, and so they are finalizing their last little items before they become employed with us. So we expect them to come on board soon. And we'll bring them to you to introduce, but more importantly, we will be fully staffed. So, yeah, we'll be
Fabulous.
fully
Yeah.
staffed.
Thank you. Very good. Next item, please.
Item 6, monthly financial report, December 2023.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have our 6-month check-in here for the month of December for our fiscal year 2024. And nothing much new to report here. Overall revenues are below our expectations by about 383,600, and then general fund expenditures below by 377,100. So net unfavorable balance of really close to 6,500, probably the closest we've ever been in any month, but we're behind because of the community center not opening and in July as we had expected during budgeting. And so revenues have kind of faded off from there, and so to have the expenditures. Sales taxes themselves remain still slightly ahead in, should say December, not November. But it's right on par with where we'd expect. We'll take a look at the chart here in a second. Property taxes, they're showing some gains from December. We were a little behind in November. It looks like our protests, as everything is played out in the past, our protests will kind of leave our real estate taxes a little behind, but everything else is lining up well. Utility tax is mixed overall, but right on target, which is a welcome thing after many years of kind of unpredictable revenues there. Little spotlight on the Parks and Rec revenue itself. It is slower at 483,000, and then due to the timing of that opening, like I said. And then the expenditures are lagging 166,000. A little kind of a note on that. If we do some math on the revenue side, if we look at a full year, it's $1.2 million in revenue we were expecting. That's $100,000 a month. So if we go back several years, we were expecting a 3-month ramp up. So if we're 3 months behind, we would kind of see a $300,000 kind of lag inside of opening. We'll see where the year ends up, as the opening time was really a nebulous as we got through. We didn't have that ramp up time. I don't know what that'll mean toward the end of the year. But overall budgeting has always been in the neighborhood of $250,000 in a deficit for a community center or for the Parks and Rec department. So well, again, we'll pay attention, but kind of lay some groundwork about where things could or may end up. So anyway, in the end, those numbers aren't terribly alarming at this point, as with 2 or 3 months open. And then that remaining category, as of the time of this writing this, that permits category is lagging. We're going to see some really good results. Some of the stuff that Ms. Yackley talked about with the permit application for the Balboa. What is the name? We should call it that.
Irvington Place.
Irvington Place. That permit application will put us where we had expected to be for the year. And so we'll see that update next month. Let's see for anyway, for 6 months of expenditures, everything's about where we'd expect. But the sales tax chart here And we looked at this again just a week ago. We'll get another update in a month, in about a week or two, week and a half. We'll see where this ends up for February. But it's again, it's enough time to make any adjustments if we need to, if this is going to be an ongoing trend. It did happen at a good time of the year when our sharing resets. And so we would just not share as much if these numbers continue to stay down below where they were. But it's early in our budgeting time. It's late in our year, so we wouldn't have to see any adjustments for this year.
So in our sharing, at one time you and I had a conversation that we were sharing because of the revenues that were coming from enterprise. We shared a little bit during a couple of those years.
Usually don't talk details of
Yeah.
companies, but
Oh,
yes,
okay. But
there's
that business is not here anymore. So is that also removing us from that sharing angle of revenue?
that it 2 months, it seems to be the case. Now, this has happened before, and so that's what it's a little early to say anything other than, it's a good time for it to happen if that is what's if their exit from the city is what's the cause. We have enough time, we have enough reserves, we have enough time in our budgeting process this year to make any adjustments and have a good plan. But I don't know. With that, I don't really have anything else. It's a pretty decent 6-month report. And I hope we can keep saying those words as the year continues.
Are there any questions? Do we have any action or?
Nope, nothing there. I'm staying up here because I have the next item
Okay.
too. That's it.
Next item, please.
Item 7, quarterly investment report, 2023, quarter 4.
Good evening once again. So now we have our quarterly investment report, which is to the second quarter in our fiscal year, but it is the end of the calendar year. And so it's the fourth quarter of 2023. What we see here is an update from what we talked about just 3 months ago. And we've kind of seen, we lengthened out some of these top section items, and I'll go through what these little boxes mean. And we purchase CDs that are a little bit longer in nature, when longer is in like they're mature outside of a year. And so I put these boxes here to kind of illustrate what we're the strategy, what we're kind of seeing here. And the top box that's in red is those top 3 lines. They're in gray. That's a 3-month rolling treasury or a T-bill. And those run 3 months. Every single month we have something that comes up, and those are kind of used for cash needs. It benefits us a lot because this yield curve you can see on the far right is those are above 5%. So we get to put somewhere in that neighborhood of $7.2 million to work at 5%, and that generates a sizable amount of revenue for us, which is good. And then the next box down, you'll see 12 CDs, and each month one of them matures. And that's our annual 12-month ladder. And right now they're in the neighborhood of 5%. You can see there's one there at 4.65, and those are rolling forward at a little bit higher rates than that are rolling off. And that's good. And we'll continue on that. That's like our core of our investment side. And then the lower boxes down below, which is the 6, 7, 8 lines there, those are ones that when purchased are outside of that 12-month ladder. They matured over 12 months when we bought them. And then the little boxes inside of that, there's 5 there, and those are purchases made since the our last meeting. And those are kind of what we had agreed on as far as, or we had consensus towards extending out the duration of these investments, as long as it wasn't kind of squeeze any of our cash flows, and take advantage of those yields. So we'll be locking in until 2028 a 5% interest rate on those bottom 2, and then you can see as they kind of come forward. Since see in November, even we had some there in December, but since December in the last month, the ones that came due in this, if we go to the second line from the top, that went fully back into 3-month. The rates have not been favorable since that middle or late December point where they're above 5% at that long term. So I will probably any reinvestments would look just like today, would look just like this for the next 3 months. I don't see the interest rates going up. but that's just me. And then we do have, that final box below is the 760 some odd thousand of the bond funds for Prop C that we're holding. And that, represents, retainage that we're holding for the project until the closeout stuff is complete and we get recommendation from our owner's rep to release that.
Great. Are there any questions for Mr. Mann about this report? Great. Thank you very
Good.
much.
Thank you.
Very thorough. Appreciate it. Next item, please.
Item 8, hearing from citizens.
It does not appear that anyone wants to speak tonight. So we'll move right along.
Item 9, Bill 3019, an ordinance amending Chapter 140 of the Olivette City Code pertaining to the closure of police vehicle records. Second reading.
Ms. Yackley?
So this is a request to update the Olivet City Code to be in compliance with, well, to reflect the Missouri Sunshine Law, which allows certain police video recordings that are made in a non-public setting. So someone's house, for example, to be closed. And this came up in December when there was a sunshine law request for a video of this nature that had been recorded in someone's home. And we brought the option to close that specific record to the council, and the council voted to do that and then directed the city attorney to draft language that is reflective of the language that's in the Missouri Sunshine Law. And so this is what is before you this evening.
This is the second reading, so we did a first reading last week. Are there any questions about this for Ms. Yackley? Okay. I'll be happy to call for.
Mayor, make the motion to approve Bill 3019 and ordinance amending Chapter 140 of the Olivette City Code.
I'm sorry.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve Bill 3019, an ordinance amending Chapter 140 of the Olivette City Code pertaining to the closure of police video records.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
The motion is passed. Bill 3019 becomes ordinance 2789.
Next item, please.
Item 10, Bill 3020, an ordinance changing the name of Enterprise Fleetway to Alice Place and authorizing the city manager of the city of Olivette to confirm with the appropriate authorities regarding this change. A second reading.
So council, this is the second reading of changing the name of this little portion of street between Price.
Nope, you gotta be over further.
Nope,
Nope, she's right there.
this is it, Price
Yeah.
and Dealman Industrial. This is where Southwestern Bell was for years and years, and then Enterprise was for years and years. And this bill would rename this section Alice, because across Price is Alice. And so it would just extend that name.
So therefore, it would run from Hilltop to where it would merge with the Dealman
Dealman
Industrial.
Industrial. Yep,
Perfect.
yep. And there's a stop sign here, so it's kind of a natural break point.
Are there any questions?
I have a question. It's not actually relevant to the street, but the old building, old AT&T building, are there any plans to
Mike.
repurpose that? Has anybody approached to any plans to repurpose that building?
Nobody's approached the city, but it is for sale or lease. It's being advertised through a commercial real estate company, but nobody's approached the city.
What about the partnership with the St. Louis County development? Jason, what's his last? name?
Jason Hall.
Yeah, thank you.
With Greater St.
Yeah,
Louis.
Greater St. Louis, yeah.
Again, nobody has approached the
Okay.
city.
All right.
And I'm gonna bring us back to saying that I will entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Bill 3020 and ordinance changing the name of Enterprise Fleetway to Alice Place and authorizing the city manager of the city of Olivet to confirm with the appropriate authorities regarding this change.
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
Motion is passed. Bill 3020 becomes ordinance 2790.
Next item, please.
Item 11, Bill 3021, an ordinance of the city of Olivet, Missouri, amending chapter 240.080 of the Municipal Code of the city of Olivet relating to establishing fees for parks and recreation programs and classes. First reading.
So this is a first reading, and it is coming from the Parks and Recreation Commission to make some changes to the rules related to Stacy Park. Specifically, if you are going to rent Stacy Park on the weekend, it needs to be an all-day rental. So the option to have a half-day rental would go away. And then it requires a damage deposit. And so these rule changes are coming about based on the data that the Parks Department received from the rentals that happened over the past year. And they were finding that half-day rentals, there was some difficulty with the transition from one group to the other. And that there really was a need, particularly on the weekend, for this damage deposit, as the nature of some of the rentals were not fully reflected on the application. So.
And that also allows that you can still do half days at the other parks.
Correct. These changes are only applied to Stacy Park.
Great. So we'll look forward to the second reading on February 13th,
And again, it's only for Saturday, for weekends.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, only for the
Yes,
weekend
yeah.
at Stacy Park. Yep.
Are there any other questions? Then we'll move on. Next item, please.
Item 12, Resolution 2024-247, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the cities of Richmond Heights, Clayton, and Maplewood to engage the Roads Company LLC for governmental, legislative, and regulatory consulting services.
So the city manager with the city of Richmond Heights approached myself and the city managers for Clayton and Maplewood about engaging the roads company for essentially their legislative and kind of lobbyist services, specifically about the bills that have been introduced in the Missouri State Legislature regarding the removal of sales taxes on groceries. So Mrs. Hamilton in Richmond Heights asked if we wanted to share this cost. It's a total cost of $12,000, which would be shared amongst the four cities. So Olivet's portion would be $3,000. It would be less if more cities join. It will be more if not all four cities come together, but from some email exchanges, it looks like all four cities are on board. So I'm asking you to authorize this. It would be just for this current legislative session, which is from February to May of 2024. Richmond Heights is going to pay the initial bill and then they will bill us.
Are there any questions or conversation?
Madam Mayor, the Municipal League is in support of this as well, so thank you very much. I would like to motion to approve Resolution 2024-247, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Roads Company LLC for governmental, legislative, and regulatory consulting services through February to May 2024 Missouri legislative session.
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl.
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman.
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
The motion is passed.
Next item, please.
Item 13, surplus equipment declaration.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, once again. Beverly had asked me to step forward and kind of present this item, so that's why her name's on the bottom of it. But she, as Ms. Yackley talked about earlier, through all the cleaning of the parks maintenance building and kind of settling into the facility there at Five Oaks, we've have some items that will no longer be needed, and so we'd like to, are requesting that they be declared surplus and then sold on the Gov Deals public auction site. So more than happy to answer any questions about any of those things on there, and look forward to your bidding.
It could be. What's a kegerator?
Refrigerator, you keep your keg in, and it has a tap that sticks out.
Oh, okay.
Of all the, there's some really good stuff there for parties. So if you're looking to expand your party planning, we got chairs, we got tables, we got an ice cream machine, soda fountain dispenser, and a
Is this the
kegerator.
same group that we used last year when we auctioned it before we closed?
That is,
the
yes.
pre-
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to declare itemized equipment surplus and authorize disposal.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl.
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman.
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes,
Motion is passed.
thank you. Next item.
Item 14, appointment of pension board member.
So one of the pension board members is actually an employee representative. And the previous employee representative, Mike Waite, retired. And so one of the first things I had to do is have an election. So the employees voted, all full-time employees who in fact participate in the pension were eligible to vote, and they chose Kent Bugler in the fire department to Berkguegler. And he has accepted his election. And so we would like you to officially appoint him. We're asking you to officially appoint him to a full term. Mr. Waite's term started actually March 9th of 2021, and it's a 3-year term. So we don't see the point in having Kent serve for a month and then get reappointed for a full year. So we think it would be most efficient if you just appoint him to a full 3-year term this evening.
Plus the rest of this term.
Of
Well,
course,
just
and the
one
rest
more.
of this.
Yeah.
term.
Okay. Go for it.
Right?
Okay, I will, make the recommendation that we accept the employee voted to represent them on the pension board with Kent Euler. Burke Euler, with the Olivet Fire Department for a full term of March 24 till, what, 3 years? Till 2027, and including the remaining term of Mr. Waite, who retired for January and February 2024.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl.
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman.
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Next item, please.
Just don't note, I was talking to somebody about this agenda item.
Okay.
And it would have been nice if there was a little more explanation.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I realize. They wondered, is there gonna be a search for a candidate? Is there gonna, so anyway.
Item 15, hearing from citizens, part 2.
It doesn't appear that anyone is raising their hand, so we will move on to the next item.
Item 16, review and acceptance of minutes.
I saw no issues with any of the minutes, so I will make a motion to accept them and acknowledge them as written.
Second.
Call for the vote?
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes,
Mayor Weil.
Yes,
Motion is passed.
you're on a streak.
Item 17, City Attorney's Report.
Mayor and Council, Ms. Yackley brought to my attention that the Missouri Supreme Court today issued an opinion on Senate Bill 26, the Police Officers' Bill of Rights is the way I generally refer to it as. There's a lot of different provisions in there, but one of the provisions is the establishment of new procedures and guarantees to police officers for discipline proceedings. And the court addressed 5 or 6 different claims of unconstitutionality brought by the city of St. Louis and rejected all but one of those claims. And I think I did have the opportunity to read the opinion as we were sitting here this evening. And it seems to me that the court got it right on those particular issues. But on the last issue, the city of St. Louis alleged that that Senate Bill 26 violated the Hancock Amendment because it imposed new duties and obligations on cities without providing appropriate funding. And initially, the circuit court in Jefferson City found that the claim was lacking for whatever reason. And the circuit court in Jefferson City declared that there was no Hancock violation. Or that there was no pleaded Hancock violation. The Supreme Court, in a careful analysis, said yes, the city, in fact, has pleaded the necessary elements for a Hancock violation, and they have the standing to do so, and that the matter is essentially ripe, which means it goes back to the circuit court for a trial, and the city gets to prove up its case and its claim that these additional duties will cost the city additional money. And who knows what's going to happen, but I have long believed that that is the case. It does impose new financial obligations on cities without providing funding, of course. So I'm hopeful that the city of St. Louis is ultimately going to win that case. So we'll see. And that's all I have. No need for a closed session this evening.
Thank you. Next, so the next item would be to call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We're adjourned.